All right. Good evening, and good evening. Let me go into our Facebook page because we're going to get this party started. Yes. Let me do this. At everyone. Yes. Hello. It's the 8th month, the 8th day, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. We got 5 minutes before the show gets started. I'm so excited about our very special guest. She's not here yet, but she's going to be here. By the time I tell you what's going on in the beauty box for him, women empowerment and Bible studies. Are you ready for a really good time? Are you ready to be inspired and motivated and encouraged to be a better you? I hope so, because that's what the beauty box for him, women empowerment and Bible studies is all about. We are a safe place for women to come and find out how God sees them as his masterpiece. And we are about knowing God, growing in our knowing, growing in his will and his way, and showing him to others. Knowing, growing, and showing. And you'll often see us doing this because everything's okay no matter what, because of God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And we also talk about the 5 and 2. Go forth and multiply, as Jesus did the fish and the loaves. I love it. So today we do, this is TNT, Tuesday Night Thoughts, Tuesday Night Testimony. And we have a very special guest here I'm excited about. Tomorrow we have Let's Talk About It with me. Let's talk about it. And I'm going to be discussing some things that are going to motivate and inspire you at 7 o'clock tomorrow night and Thursday. We have Spiritual Makeovers, which is our Bible study at 7 o'clock in the beauty box. And that's going to be with Alice Richardson Preston. And also at 6 o'clock on Thursday, we're in Hempstead, Texas for an in-person Bible study. Our Bible studies in Houston or here at my home on Saturdays are going to pick up on the 19th at noon, where we're going to study Lamentations, chapter 1 and 2 on the 19th at noon. So that's going to be really, really good. So now I'm going to wait just a minute because we're a little bit early. Let's see who's in the comment section. Hey, Carla, Brandon, how are you? Hey, Patty Payne. Hey, Amelia Amos, cousin. How are you? Glad to see you here. Happy, and excited. Okay. Let's see. All right. Any comments going on? Y'all saying anything to me yet? Are you guys excited? I'm excited about everything that's going on. For those of you who are first timers, be sure to check out our website so you can see our backstory and how we got started. I'll put it up here, thebeautyboxforhim.com. Just all sorts of inspiration to get this going. It just was a thought on Super Bowl Sunday. And we're already a 501 C3 nonprofit. Exciting things are happening. You can catch most of our programs on YouTube and our Facebook group. Our spiritual makeovers on Thursdays are exclusive to the beauty box. Here is information about us as well. All right. What? I cannot. She's like, from what email did you send it? Oh my gosh. Anyway, she's coming. Anyway, so who's there? Glad to see you too. Your name's not coming up. Let's see who's there. That is Oh, cousin. Yes. Patty Payne. Hey, Tony Maxwell. Y'all, go ahead and take the link and share this. I'm going to put it in the comments section. And I'll do the YouTube, because this is streaming live on YouTube and in our Facebook group. So take that and share it with your besties so that they can come on and check us out. Okay, so I am going to share about the amazing woman that you are going to meet today. It's 8 o'clock straight up. You know, we like to be on time. Let me get my glasses and stop pretending. All right. Shanedria Wagner is a graduate of Texas A&M University. She earned a bachelor's degree in French and a second degree in speech communication. While at Texas A&M, she served as executive director of the Miss Texas A&M Scholarship Pageant and was a 1991 recipient of the Buck Weris Spirit Award, one of the highest honors bestowed on undergraduates for being involved in campus life and making a positive impact. She was also the first supervisor of the call center at the Association of Former Students, which raised funds for the university's endowment fund. She went on to earn her master's degree in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in bilingual education. She's a smart girl. From the University of Houston, that's where she earned that. Her studies also include superior, not just average, okay, superior level French courses at the University of Caen in Normandy, France. She is a linguist who speaks, reads, and writes in French and in Spanish. While teaching in the Alief and Houston Independent School District, she served as a foreign language speech communication teacher at the secondary level and as an elementary bilingual instructor. A highlight of her career was teaching at her alma mater, MacArthur Elementary School. That's the same elementary school that I went to. Miss Wagner has also taught ESL courses and citizenship classes. Her enormously effective teaching techniques and compassion for her pupils have earned her three Teacher of the Year awards. As a national consultant, Mrs. Wagner has devoted the past 2 decades to tailoring presentations to meet the needs of her diverse clients. She presents a variety of workshops ranging from techniques for second language acquisition to innovative strategies for reading, math, grammar, and writing instruction. Her audiences have comprised children, administrators, school board members, parents, politicians, and instructors in 25 states. She has been hired as a presenter, translator, lecturer, panelist, keynoter, test writer, and motivational speaker. Yeah. A member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, she has served as a board member for the Brazoria County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, been appointed to serve as a representative at large on the Leadership Council of the Texas A&M University Former Students Association, and selected to serve on the Texas A&M Friends of the Library Board. That's just a lot, okay? That's all I'm saying. It is a lot, and that's not even the end, okay? I think she just got tired of writing. Woo! So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up my childhood friend, and I just love her so much. Shanedria Wagner.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Good
Hi, Cheryl.
evening. Hey, beautiful.
Hello, beautiful. How's everybody doing?
We are doing just great. How are you?
I'm doing great. And my husband was picking with me as he exited the room. He was like, "Baby, on your head." I'm like, I told you it's a small group of women. I'm among friends. Like, leave me alone. I love this, a turban. It reminds me of, what my great grandma would wear, and Eartha Kitt, would wear these
I love it.
turbans.
You know what I love? When you win. Do you know when you win? When you are comfortable with the skin you're in. That's when you win.
Absolutely.
Okay? And hey, it is what it is. You look beautiful to me.
Thank
Okay?
you.
And this is all about women empowerment. It really is. And God looks at the heart, and you have a beautiful heart. And I was
Thank you. You too.
introducing you, and as I read over your accolades, I was impressed all over again. And here, before we ever start to know what you know, we want to know who you are. We want to know the backstory. Who is? And today I was talking, and I was like, Shanedria Ridley. I'm like, where did that come from? You have been Ridley in forever. So
13 years. That's okay, but it's
I don't
okay.
know. I don't know, but who is Shanedria Wagner, and how did all of that come about? How did it all start? Tell us about you.
So everything starts with the creator, with God. Everything. So when you ask how, if you take those three letters, H-O-W, or reverse and put W-H-O, who did it or how did I do it? I would say everything that I've accomplished is by the grace of God. So I feel so blessed to have had those experiences. Um, but they only tell a fraction of who I am, right? That's what I do professionally. Uh, but who am I? I am a child of God. I am a born again Christian who's still imperfect. I am a daughter of a single mom, the child who met my dad when I was 19. I have a step family as well. I'm a sibling. I have lots of siblings from my parents. I'm a mother and a wife and an educator, a lifelong learner. That's who I am. I'm somewhat of an empath, because I feel people's pain, but I think I'm very altruistic in the sense I'm very service oriented, and I'm a proud Texas Aggie as well.
Yes. Yeah. And AKA, okay? We can't
Yes, Alpha Kappa Alpha. Yes.
I was reading that incorporated. Yes. So that is so exciting. I love that you are born again Christian. Because have we not been through some things? We've been through
Oh,
some things.
absolutely,
And you're
absolutely.
yes. And so I have a question for you. My first
Okay.
question is, knowing what you know now, having gone through what you've gone through, what advice would you have given your younger self?
I would have told my younger self to delay relationships as long as possible. Like, focus on you and your passion and what God has put you here for, because distractions that you cause, like some things happen to us. So, sometimes we fall off the wagon, but sometimes we jump off of it, right? We jump off. We do things that we know are not in alignment with God's word. And so I think delaying that whole, you know, boy, teenage years, distractions. It was just, it was, I would say focus on your books only, or God in your books only. Don't focus on trying to have a boyfriend because you don't know who you are yet. I mean,
Right, right. That is so
yeah.
cool. That is some good advice. So speaking of that, uh, what is like the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best advice I've ever gotten is to listen to what he says and not what they say.
Mm,
And I actually wrote a poem about that. I'm going to try to find it and I may be able to pull it up. I wrote it in one of my fiction books, but I wrote a poem called What They Say, and I put the T and the Y in lowercase and the H and E in caps because I just go back and forth between what they might say about you and what the word says, like what they say and what the word says, because that's very important. If we don't remember what he said about whose we are and what we're capable of, the words of other people could paralyze us.
Yeah. They say, sticks and stones, words, but words hurt. Words can kill. You can kill somebody with your words. And that's part of what this group is about. And I have a whole sheet of you are who God says you are. I mean, and we even started like that when you win, when you're happy with the skin you're in, when you know who you are and whose you are. So I love that. So speaking on all of that, what is something that people think is true about you, but it's not?
Oh my gosh.
For instance, for me, people think I am upbeat and positive all the time, and I'm not. So it can be something like that, or it can be something deeper.
Okay. Okay. I'll take. There are so many things, but here's one thing. Some people think that I effortlessly create. That I just have this superpower to instantaneously create things, and that I don't have to prepare really. That I don't have to work really hard behind the scenes. They just see, oh, you're gifted at this, and they think, oh, you're just lucky, you're gifted. They don't really attempt, I don't think, even, or you know, try to conceptualize, what it's like to create. A lot goes into it. Of course, the creator gives it to me. I say I never create anything. I say he transmits it to me. But sometimes I'll have to study things and pray and meditate and brainstorm, and it takes a lot to come up
Right.
with the finished product. And so I think that's one misconception, I think.
Yeah. But I do have to say that you are gifted, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to hone your craft. It's just like a person with who can work out and they just are cut because of genetics. And then some people can do the same workout and it doesn't happen. So I believe you are genetically cut for what you're doing. You're living in your purpose, which
Mhm.
when you live in your purpose, you're just a happier person. When you are living and using your strengths instead of spending all the time trying to develop your weaknesses into strengths, I think you got it. I think some of us just get it. And it doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's easier than if it wasn't our gift. Does that make sense?
Right. I knew engineering was not for me very early on. I'm like, I'll just marry one. Hey, this is way above. Whoa, I can't do this.
Yes.
Like
Yes. Okay. So another question I have is, how do you handle stress?
several ways.
Okay.
Prayer is one. Breathing. Reading. I have a sorority sister who's actually like a mentor because she's a principal mentor, and I actually met her when I was consulting because she was mentoring principals who hired me. And so we became pretty close. And so every morning she texts me every morning around 4 or 5 in the morning. The same scriptures that you read, like the things that you read, like that's what Beverly sent me. I thought that was so wonderful how they aligned. But reading, um, singing, I sing a lot.
Yes.
Reading helps, and then spending time with my family. Sometimes I just turn off and I'll just call my son in and listen to him talk about the problems of the world and how he wants to solve them, or just go with my husband and sit in the hammock and just
Yeah.
talk to God through nature.
And just be. Yes. I love that.
And sometimes I shut down. Now, sometimes I will shut down, just
Mhm.
turn it off, lights, TV, and just relax and just try to sleep.
Right. Right. Also, what are some of your pet peeves?
Pet peeves. Ooh. What time? Okay, I have so many pet peeves. Oh my gosh. So grammatically, we'd be here all night. I'm a lifelong grammarian. I'm always catching my own errors. I'm very transparent about that. Uh, but one of my pet peeves is, I guess, the lack of a work ethic, or thinking that the results will come without the investment,
Yeah,
expecting something for nothing. When you work really hard, it frustrates you when those some around you who are just as capable or not, and then
yeah,
it's detrimental. Grammatical teachers who don't study grammar, that's a pet peeve.
yeah.
Um, I mean, those are just a couple.
I'll bet you one of your pet peeves is to see one of your students who is gifted or smart or whatever, but they choose not to. It's kind of like they choose not to live up to their potential, or maybe they don't want to be the cool kid. You know what I mean? They don't want to be the nerdy kid. They want to look cool. I know that my son went through that because he was pretty smart. And once he got to high school and he started hanging out with the football team, it wasn't cool to be smart. So,
Right.
you ever have that happen?
Absolutely. And I just speak life into them. I'll say, you were not born to do this. You're not a fighter. You just threatened that student, but you didn't mean that. That's not who you are. You didn't mean those words. You're better than that. I mean, I just speak life into them to try to redirect them and make them view themselves differently. Sometimes they defeat themselves. They'll say they may have been spoken down to by a parent or something, and I've heard children say that I'm dumb. Like, don't say that. Stop it. Like, I will not have that. So a lot. Sometimes that drains their energy, and then sometimes they're just playful and immature, and it's not ready to do work.
Right. Self talk is so real, it's so powerful what we say to ourselves for sure. So tell us about what you're doing right now. What's going on in your world? What are you working
Mm,
on?
well, let's see. What am I working on?
And tell
Well,
us about your school. Tell us about what's going on.
okay. So what my husband and I do is work together as a team to deliver instructional training to teachers. I train teachers in professional development workshops, in class coaching. I conduct student workshops. So I use music and original movements and original intellectual property to teach the content areas. So I'll use music and songs to teach reading, math, grammar. I do it in English and Spanish. That's the main thing. So the bulk of our time is spent preparing contracts, proposals, the whole game, and then creating technological resources so that our clients can use our materials in our absence. And so that's very time consuming. But a second arm of our business is tutoring. I traveled for 10 years straight around the country doing professional development and motivational speaking. And then I could never tutor. But once I became a mom, the need arose for my daughter. And so I started tutoring her, and the work just grew. And before I knew it, during the 4 years I took off from working, I developed a clientele for tutoring. And so since 2015, we've had a storefront. So I do it minimally, just, a few hours a week. In the evenings, I tutor French and Spanish, and then some of the content areas, and I teach adult classes in the evening. So the class offerings depend on the demand. I'm not doing all at once. Like right now, I don't have a French class for adults, but I might in the spring.
Right,
So that's what's happening in our world. We're constantly developing material and working in schools and researching and creating videos, songs, music videos, instructional videos. That's my life. Like, I love it.
do you have something you could share with us? A little short tune?
Well, actually, let's see. I do have my pre-reading chant. I'm very proud of my pre-reading chant, and I do chants about reading strategy. So I'll just do this. I have recordings, of course, but I didn't bring anything with me to show. But you can always follow my Spanish Etc. Pearland page on Facebook or my Shanwag page. You'll see a lot of the samples of my music. But so the reading chant goes. When I read a selection, I will aim for perfection. There are steps that I need to take before I start to read. Check the title and the subtitles out to see what the selection is all about. Read the introduction and the conclusion to avoid all confusion. Find numbers, graphs, charts, and tables, pictures, captions, or their labels, underlined words, and italics and bold. Context clues make the story unfold. Read each question at least once. As I peruse, I'll find every response. Pre-read, peruse, pick, improve. Those are 4 P's to pass. So that's like my master strategy to teach children to get excited about reading and then to have a set or a process to follow when attacking those passages. And of course, we get more detail, but that is a pretty good idea of the upbeat, content rich chants that I utilize.
Oh my gosh. And that is so good and so like I love it. So catchy. And
Thank
I
you.
probably could have done way better if I had had a teacher like you. Fun and edutaining. Edutaining is her
And I
word.
have it in Spanish too. So I'll do a little bit in Spanish. Cuando leo una lección, yo quiero perfección. Hay pasos que yo voy a hacer antes de que pueda leer. Primero leeré el título, pues leeré el subtítulo y la introducción y la conclusión para evitar la confusión. I'll stop there. But I could go on and on and on.
I mean,
But that's the same chant in Spanish. So
I was
I teach bilingual
hypnotized.
students. I teach bilingual and dual language students, so it's so fascinating to see, little children who are native English speakers work on grade level doing reading passages and speaking metacognitively about their experience in Spanish. Like those kinds of tools assist them as well.
Right. So, y'all, look at these websites I have here. Which one, if they're interested in learning Spanish as an adult?
SpanishETC.com.
Yes, Spanish Eats. Okay. And then what is shanwag.com?
So shanwag.com is our educational consulting website.
Okay.
On it, one will find testimonials, a section with descriptions of our services and video footage of me and students to kind of get an idea of what my energy is like. And then they see a section for just the products that we've created, the workbooks.
Yeah.
And they would see a section with the promotional video in English and Spanish. And they would see frequently asked questions. They would see everything they need to know about the consulting services, motivational speaking topics, all those good things. Everything but pricing is on there.
Right. Okay. Now, what else do we want to know about you and what you're doing? What's coming out? I know she's an author. She has books, all sorts of things. So what else would you like to talk to the ladies about to encourage and inspire? This is why I asked the question, because have you ever heard the saying that most people die at the age of 40? They're just not buried until they're like 75, 80, 85. They're not living. Some people just are kind of, I say they're just waiting to die. They're just waiting to die. And I heard one pastor say that age is just a number. If you're 30 and God's going to take you out at 35, you're old. But if you're 50 and you're going to live to 100, you're young. So what do you have to say about that? Because like Super Bowl Sunday, I got the vision. I'm 56 years old. I got a vision to start a whole new dream because I was open to it. I was actually praying for one thing and God put me on a whole different path because I was open. And so what do you think about that?
Well, I would say, speaking to this group in particular, to talk directly to Aunt Alice, who's on there. I can't see her comments if she's left any comments or anything. To Patty, to anyone I met at your Bible study who happens to be here. I want to talk to this group in particular, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, I'm sure, but I guess my advice or my thought process is there's a sense of urgency because we don't know when we're leaving, right? So there's a sense of urgency, plus because of what's happening in our world. Look at the current events. You could pick any number of things happening and thinking, oh my gosh, and feel a range of emotion about it. But I think if we look at that pain that we're feeling, or that anxiety, or that frustration, and try to find solutions to it, like listen to what God is telling you. If you're overdue to get that book out there, like it. You're reading other people's books. You're like, I could do this. I have a compelling story. And you might read it and think about what's happening in your life, but you still aren't documented. But it needs to be done. Like if you're in this listening audience, ladies, if that business needs to be done. But for some reason, you're putting other things before yourself. There could be a number of reasons, but I think for me, when I started really living with a sense of urgency in terms of getting things done, like stop procrastinating, get it done. that made a difference in my life.
I feel like we get caught up in what we don't know.
I have been in a holding pattern. Might I say that I have been in a holding pattern. I was in a holding pattern as a new wife. Let me say that. I was in that pattern and I wasn't moving.
So I was just saying that a lot of times we don't move because like we know what we're supposed to be doing, but because we don't know how it's going to happen, I think we freeze. It's like I have the vision. I'm at A, I see Z, but I don't know how to get to B, get there. And I always say the how is the booby prize, and that is faith. Faith is not knowing, it's taking that step in the dark, knowing that there is another step going to be there, going to the end of the mountain or the end of the cliff and jumping, knowing that either there's going to be something to catch you or God's going to teach you how to fly. So that's the thing, walking by faith, not by sight. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I've been walking by faith and not by sight professionally for 25 years. I taught school 5 years. So everyone knows that I love my alma mater, Texas A&M, for so many reasons. I love my elementary. I love every level of my education. But I think that at A&M, I was able to take everything that had been poured into me and apply it in real life situations to make a difference, raise money, form relationships, pretty much prepare myself to go out in the world and really control my destiny, right? And so anyway, there's a saying at A&M that after 5 years, like, what do you call an Aggie 5 years after graduation? That word is boss. And I could have gone into corporate. Trust me, I had the training to do it, but something compelled me to teach. I just felt drawn to education despite what my mom said. She said, don't do it. My teacher said, don't do it. They said, be a doctor or a lawyer. When I came back, they said, what are you doing? Which are you? They just knew that I'd become one or the other. We told you to. I said, I don't want to do that. But anyway, after 5 years of teaching, I had an opportunity to start my own business. And people thought, girl, what about your insurance? What about, I said, I have assurance. I have blessed assurance. So don't worry about my insurance. Even though I did have insurance. But for a while I didn't. While I was young and I'm healthy. Like I did for like 1 year, I was careless. But I had my mom there saying, can you get money? She was right. So, but I did have to walk on faith. I didn't have any business loans. I didn't have a business plan. I just had an inkling, encouragement from people, a lot of support from all my superiors and previous employers and student fellow who said, you've got what it takes to do this. So go do it. So I went to one conference in California and literally from that one presentation got booked in 3 states. And then it just started by word of mouth. I never spent money on advertising. Like I never had, that was all God. And so there were times when I'd be waiting, like, okay, I'm waiting for a contract this year. Where are my contracts? And then, 2 weeks later, you have a booked calendar for the rest of the school year.
Right.
I mean, I've seen the wonders. I've seen what he can do. I'm such a believer because of what he's already shown me. So when I get those moments, I'm like, girl, stop doubt. What are you doing? Did you forget? So that's what I can speak to that because so many people who are interested in what I do don't take that leap of faith due to that fear and that fear of the unknown, and then that, I guess, unwillingness to exercise that faith. To say, okay, I'm going to really do it, God. I'm going to trust you for real. Like I resigned yesterday, God. Okay.
Right.
But anyway, I'll say this. I have to say this. I have a friend who was in med school. He teaches at the University of Texas, med school. And when he was in med, I ghostwrote his book or edited his book for him. I helped him with 2 books. But he wrote about his life being on the verge of disconnection when he was in med school. And he went to someone that he trusted. And they said to him, if your lights go out, they just go out. Get candles, dude. Keep it moving. So I had to think, sometimes I'm putting the stress up here, but really I'll be okay if this doesn't work out. He got me. Whatever the outcome, I know he'll get me. I know I can start over if I have a new opportunity tomorrow.
Right.
If I fail, okay, I fail.
Yeah. And
I was young,
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking to maybe a young person, what I love about the beauty box is it's all colors, all ages. It's just like a little melting pot. I love that. So let's speak to our younger ladies who may be going through it. Maybe, I don't know, an identity crisis, maybe a bit abused by whomever. What do you have to say to them?
Don't focus on what you can't. Focus on what he can.
Hmm.
What you can't do. So you mentioned a few things in there. You said um, maybe going through something. You know, I've been through something. So let me start with this first. There may be someone in this group who has contemplated or is contemplating giving up.
Hmm.
When I say giving up, that could be a variety of things. It could be life itself. It could be a career. It could be a marriage. It could be a relationship. It could be I've learned to stick things out. Take breaks though, but get back on it, because if you give up, you'll miss what's on the other side. I know it, because in 2008, I was at the lowest point I'd ever been. And I talked to God and said, listen, I'm tired of doing it my way. I'm tired. I surrender all to you, God. It's December of '08. I would just surrender everything to you. I was tired of being depressed. I was tired of crying and not wanting to see sunlight and just feeling sorry for myself, and I said, you know what, but I take breaks. Again, I take that break, but I would get back up. I was still functioning. You'd see me out, I'm smiling, but
Right,
I knew at home what I was going through. I
right,
didn't wear it. You would have no idea
right.
of what I was going through, but I submitted all to him, and he just completely turned my life around a week later. I mean,
I know.
I said, you just show me I'm tired. Just send me a sign.
Yes.
Connect me to whom I need to be connected. You do it. I'm tired.
Yes. Isn't it amazing
Yeah.
how when you talk to him honestly,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
honestly,
Mm-hmm.
through your tears, through everything,
Mm-hmm.
is just like the best father. He listens to you and he will provide, and just hold on, because storms don't last. Storms don't last. And
Right.
no matter what you're going through, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I'm
I would
so glad
say,
we
yeah.
talked to you about being a doctor, being a lawyer. At the end of the day, would love to see how many doctors and lawyers you teach or you have taught, because I know it's going to be plenty of doctors and
Well,
lawyers and very successful people because of
well,
you.
speaking of
And
that,
it's so important to have good teachers.
I teach doctors now. I mean, I did my first medical Spanish class for two Aggies, my fellow Aggies, who attended A&M with me. They both became physicians, and I developed the curriculum for them. I taught a pediatrician. I've taught an optometrist. Um, I just talked to my friend who's a professor at UT Med School. So I'm about to build another medical course to help them with those preliminary questions they ask during an office visit. That's what they need. And then I talked to a nurse today who was my baby nurse when I was pregnant, when I had my baby, but she just got her doctorate in nursing. And so she teaches at two different colleges, nursing, and she works at Memorial Hermann. So she's going to also assist me in recruiting nurses. I've taught nurses who want to come back. So I do teach, but I do have my first judge now. I'm about to develop a class for legal professionals. I call those my specialty Spanish. I love those classes. They're so fun. But so it's great to listen to those doctors and lawyers, and and actually show them something. I
Right.
barely passed biology and chemistry, so I'm just like, you're amazing. You did
Yeah,
science. You did it. MCAT, you did it. My dad was a doctor. My granddad was a doctor. I just didn't get that.
yeah,
They were both medical doctors. My
right,
dad went to Baylor College of Medicine.
right. Well, I
Yeah.
just want to say it's just an honor and a privilege to have you on here talking from your heart and getting to know a little bit about you. And there's so much more, y'all. If you're ever interested or you hear of anyone that's interested in learning Spanish or French, and you speak a little bit of other things too, don't you?
Un peu.
What's that?
A little bit. Je parle un peu de chinois. I speak a little Chinese, just a little
Okay,
bit.
okay.
I know Vietnamese quite, I know a lot of Vietnamese, enough to talk, a basic conversation, but I'm a dilettante, if you will. But mais j'adore le français. C'était ma deuxième langue. French was my second language. I love it. Je l'ai appris pour la première fois quand j'avais 12 ans. I learned it for the first time when I was 12 years old. 12 years old. Et je me suis spécialisée en français, Texas A&M. I majored in French at A&M.
Yeah.
Et je suis allée en France pour étudier pendant l'été de 1992. So I studied abroad in the summer of 1992. I just want to show you that A&M does produce linguists as well.
Well, I have to
Now,
ask.
engineers rock. They rock. Okay, they rock.
But there are other things going on over there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What was the defining moment where you decided, I want to learn foreign languages and I want to be excellent at them? What made you go there? Because tell me where you're from. We're from.
I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm from the hood. Yeah, I'm probably from the. I say Lugueto. People say, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Lugueto." I said, "What is that?" Lugueto, the ghetto, baby. That's right. But ghetto is a physical place, right? But there's such a thing as a ghetto mentality that one could have in or out of the ghetto, right?
Right.
The ghetto has produced some wonderful people, right? And that's not really the ghetto. These are just apartments. I mean, but to some, right? It was nothing like when you see the housing like in Chicago, it's nothing like that. New Orleans, we had very nice living arrangements. In fact, we were the first to inhabit that complex, remember? But foreign language, I was in 8th grade at Lanier Middle School. I had to pick an elective. I chose Spanish because that was the popular language. However, I registered too late and I resorted to French. I thought, okay, I'll do French. And the teacher made the difference. My teacher, Madame Van Hooser, she was brunette with freshly French manicured nails. She wore fuchsia or red lipstick. She was very elegant. And I wanted to be her. I loved her. She was a great teacher. So that piqued my interest. So I started to like the 8th grade. I loved it. So I got to Lamar High School and took it in 9th grade from another amazing teacher, Madame Dejean, who looked like me. People thought she was my mom. But she told me to get mature. And then sophomore, junior, and senior years, I had Madame Vesali, Chantal Vesali, the late Chantal Vesali, who was from Annecy, France, and she taught IB French. And her daughter, Eleanor, is actually serving with me on the Friends of the A&M Library board. And it's her mom. I'm just ecstatic. But Madame Vesali, impacted me. So I just fell in love with them and fell in love with French. So that's what did it. I studied French all through Lamar High School, majored in French at A&M. Then I said, okay. I said, listen, I know you love French.
Yeah.
But you're in Texas. So then I decided to minor in Spanish at A&M. So that's what did it.
Well, you are doing so well all around, killing the game. I love to see it. I love to see my sister making moves, changing lives, and living and being like comfortable in the skin you're in, and just I'm just so proud of you. So I want to thank
I'm proud of you too.
So much.
So in closing, I might say this: when you ask me about that advice, I would say don't give up because the good part's coming, and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Learn what he said about you and learn to forgive yourself. And then, listen to that voice that's telling you to speak up or, there's so many other things we could talk about, right? But just listen to that voice. Women lead the way. We rock. So, we're powerful.
Yeah.
Take breaks, but don't give up.
Right. I love that. Take breaks, but don't give up.
Right.
Be yourself, and don't be so concerned about what other people are thinking. Shanedria was at our last Bible study. We have such cool, colorful people. And you just add a whole new spice to it. So you guys, we start back our in-person Bible studies on the 19th at noon here. Let us know if you want to be here. We want to thank you so much for coming in. And I know you're probably off to another meeting. I know I am.
No. Actually,
you're not.
No, actually, I'm packing. We're going to Paris Saturday.
Oh!
We're going to France for a week with my children for the first time. It's my 4th trip there, but my children have never been, y'all. So pray for our traveling grace. And I want to say thank you so much, Cheryl, for just being who you are. You've always been my role model. You will always be. Your effortless ability to communicate and move people has always inspired me to be a better me. And I'm just happy to be supporting you in the beauty box for him. and being closer to God and the Word, and loving on our sisters of all. That attracted me to this group as well. I love that we, focus on what we have in common and not our differences.
Yes.
And we're going to have to do that as a nation in order to make it. Put
Right.
on our big girl pants, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you so much. Love you, sis.
Love you too. Have a
Love you.
good night, everybody. Thank you
Love
so
you
much for having me.
all. Thank you so much. I'm looking at these comments before I head off. Very inspirational. Thank you so much. Thank you. Learning to forgive
I'm gonna go
yourself
watch you.
is major. Yes, sick and tired of being sick and tired. Not insurance, but assurance. That's one for the screen right there. Not insurance, but assurance. Yes. Wow. Wasn't she amazing? She's amazing. More of her to come. We'll have her on repeat. She'll be a repeat offender for sure. We love you. All right, y'all. Have a great evening. Bye. Go forth and multiply.